Mandy. It's nice to meet you. I brought you a copy of my resume. So thank you for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about applying for an ABA instructor therapist position. So why are you interested in working with individuals with autism spectrum disorder? So I'm interested in working with individuals with autism because I love helping people and seeing the positive impacts that and changes that the individual can make in their life with the help of ABA interventions. So for an example, my boyfriend's nephew was diagnosed with autism, and I was just astounded by the progress that he was able to make in his life once his parents brought him to ABA therapy. So I'd love to help other individuals and their families to overcome the challenges that they face in their life with the help of ABA interventions. So briefly describe yourself and your work ethic. What skills will you bring to this team? So I'm a recent psychology graduate from Carleton University. And I'm currently taking the Autism Behavioral Science course at Algonquin College. So I would describe myself as a patient, caring individual with good listening skills. I really enjoy helping people, and I practice non-judgmental attitudes. So I believe I can bring a positive outlook to your ABA team. I work well in a team setting. I consider other people's opinions and concerns when deciding the best route to take in a decision so that I can make the most informative and effective decision. And take everybody's opinions into account. So briefly describe your experience working on a team. What do you enjoy most, and what do you find most challenging about working on a team? So most of my team experiences have been good overall. One important aspect that I think is great is communication. This is probably the most important aspect in a team dynamic. So my past experiences, by communicating right off the bat, everybody's concerns and expectations were laid out on the table. Everybody knew what was to be expected. And by communicating, you kind of set that playing field for the rest of the team and the rest of the project goals. Everybody knows what's expected. Any concerns or problems that might arise down the road can be addressed and potentially prevented if you have a good dialogue going throughout the team dynamic. Describe a time you experienced conflict while working on a team. What did you do to resolve this conflict? Would you handle it the same way again? If not, what would you do different? So one time that I had conflict in a team, I was working on a team assignment for school. So one of the requirements was for all the team members to come together and talk about their answers for a question. So my team waited to make a meeting date, and when we finally did talk about it, there was no real convenient time for everybody to come together to meet. So we solved this by creating a communal document for everybody to put their information and their answers in, while continuing a dialogue through this document. So we had constant communication through the document, but it was not a set time that everybody had to come together. So I think this really took a lot of the stress off as people were working. And it was more convenient for everybody to be able to put their information and their answers in, while still having everybody be able to read what your input was. So if this situation were to arise again, there are a few things that I would change, but I think that I would keep the communal document. I would keep that the same, just because it was a lot more convenient. It provided dialogue through the team. So I think that was a good avenue, but I would potentially implement that early on in the team dynamic, so that we could get our ideas flowing, and that we would still have time to be able to sit down together as a team and talk about the final touches, or we would be able to set meeting dates if anybody had a concern and needed to talk to the whole group. Instead, if it was really important to talk to everybody all together, we would have time to do that. In the end, we still were able to get together and have that final meeting for the final touches, but I would definitely start the dialogue earlier if this were to happen again. So how would you describe your ability to receive constructive criticism and to adapt your performance based on this feedback? So I would describe my ability to receive constructive criticism as open-minded. So I accept that I can learn from my mistakes and things that I missed out based on constructive criticism. I like that I can reflect on my performance and have that insight about what I can change or do better in the future. So for an example, one school assignment that I completed required students to give feedback on other students' presentations. So I really found this aspect of the project very helpful, as I was able to look back on what the students said that I needed to improve on. I was able to take that insight and apply it to the future assignments down the road. And overall, by doing this and reflecting on what I could have done better in the first assignment, I got a better mark overall. So constructive criticism is a very important part of learning and adapting to new skills. So I want to thank you for considering me for this position. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.